Emile told my husband to choose between us, then tried to move into our home while I was away. My name is Claire. I'm 31, married to my husband, Daniel, for almost 3 years. He's thoughtful in the way that matters. Remembers I take exactly 1 teaspoon of sugar in tea, always squeezes my hand twice to say I love you, and does the dishes without being asked. He loves me deeply, truly, and always tells me so. But he also loves his mother. And that alone wasn't the problem. The problem was the way she loved him. Possessive. Entitled. As if she had seniority over me. As if her love outranked mine simply because she got there first. Daniel was used to brushing off the little things. Not because he didn't care, but because he'd grown up learning that she meant well, even when she didn't. And when those little things started stacking up, I could see him flinch at the thought of confronting her. He tried to shield me at first. He tried to set boundaries, but they were delicate, hesitant, soft around the edges. And she tore through them like tissue paper. It was a Wednesday afternoon. I was working from home, trying to finish a presentation when I heard the door open. Not knock, not ring. Open. I froze. At first I thought maybe Daniel had come home early. The clock read 3:12 p.m. Not unusual, but not expected either. But then I heard humming. Soft, off-key humming. A tune I knew I didn't recognize but had heard from her before. His mother. I remember typing mid-sentence and just stopping, hands hovering over the keyboard while my heartbeat crawled up to my throat. She walked into the office doorway. "Oh, you're home," she chirped. "Yes," I replied slowly, forcing calm. "Because I work from home. Every day." "Oh, right," she said with a laugh that felt almost dismissive. I forgot. Forgot? She'd known for years. I asked her why she was here. She told me she wanted to drop off a casserole. Harmless enough, if she hadn't let herself in. "You could have knocked," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. She blinked at me. "But I have a key." That was my first lesson in Emile logic. Possession meant permission. When Daniel got home, he agreed with me that it wasn't okay. He did talk to her. Gently. Too gently. Something like, "Mom, please knock or call before coming over." It startled Claire today. She apologized to him, not to me. But she did stop using the key for a while. I thought it was fine. I let it go. A minor thing, as Daniel called it, and honestly at that point it sort of was. I didn't know then what it was leading to. Over the next few months, she started poking at little corners of our lives. Just tiny comments that seemed innocent enough until they weren't. When we visited her, she insisted Daniel sit next to her, not me. She'd pat his cheek and say, "You're looking thin. Is she feeding you enough?" She'd ask me, "When are you giving me grandchildren?" Every time I declined wine. She called our apartment temporary, even though we bought it with our own money. None of it was dire. All of it was irritating. I brought it up to Daniel. He listened, but he'd say things like, "She doesn't mean any harm." Or, "She's just teasing. If it really bothers you, I'll tell her to stop." But he didn't want to start a fight over small things. I didn't want to either. I was trying to be a good daughter-in-law. Tolerant. Patient. Understanding. She saw it as weakness. The major turning point came the day she overheard me telling Daniel about a promotion I'd been offered. It came with a big raise. And travel. And leadership responsibilities. I was proud. Daniel was proud too. He had swept me up in his arms and spun me around in the kitchen. But the next day at dinner with his mother, I mentioned it. She did not congratulate me. She didn't even pretend to be happy. She put down her fork, folded her napkin with surgical precision, and said, "Well, I suppose Daniel will be seeing even less of you now." Daniel rolled his eyes gently. "Mom." And she turned to him, pointedly, as if I weren't even there. "I just hope this doesn't affect her ability to take care of the home. You work hard, sweetheart. You deserve a warm meal and a tidy house." I said nothing. I went quiet in the way a person does when they're trying to absorb an insult without firing one back. Daniel saw my expression and winced. He gently scolded her. Not strongly. Not firmly. Just enough for her to pout and sigh dramatically. Later that night, he apologized, held me close, and told me he was proud of me. I believed him. I didn't believe her. 2 weeks later, she did something that shattered all illusions that these were small things. Daniel and I had gone to a weekend getaway for our anniversary. When we returned home, dragging luggage and yawning from the car ride, we found something waiting for us. His mother, asleep, with a blanket, in our home. Daniel's hand tightened around mine instinctively. "What the hell?" he whispered. We woke her. She blinked awake, smiled lazily, and said,
"Oh,
"You're back early." "Early," I said, voice cracking. "This is our home." She sat up and stretched like she was waking from a nap at a hotel she'd paid for. "I had some errands in the neighborhood," she said, "and I thought I'd tidy up a bit. You two live like such busy bees." "Mom," Daniel said, far firmer this time, "how did you get in?" She lifted the spare key, the emergency key I had reluctantly given her months before. "I was worried," she said. "You weren't answering your phone." Because we were on a romantic trip that she knew about. That night, Daniel took the key back and tried to talk to her, but she cried, actual tears, and said, "I'm your mother. I thought I was welcome here." I was stunned, speechless. Daniel apologized to me again, but his shoulders sagged. I could see guilt tearing him between us.
I held his hand, told him it was okay.
But it wasn't okay. Not really. We changed the locks. Just for safety. I thought that would be enough. But she must have sensed something slipping. Some control she'd assumed she had. And losing control made her desperate. It happened one night when Daniel went to visit her to smooth things over. I stayed home because, honestly, I needed space. I needed to breathe. He came back hours later, pale. "We need to talk," he'd said. I sat down at the kitchen table and braced myself. He took my hands in his. She gave me an ultimatum. "What?" I whispered. She told me to choose. "Choose what?" His voice cracked. She said, "Either I choose her or I choose you." My vision blurred for a second. "What did you say?" "I told her I wasn't choosing between the two people I love most," he said, voice exhausted. I told her she was being unreasonable. Relief washed through me for a moment, until he added, "She said she doesn't feel welcome anymore. That you're pushing her out of my life. That I'm letting you replace her." I suddenly felt sick. He buried his face in his hands. "I'm trying, Claire. I swear I'm trying." I knew he was. And when he lifted his head, his eyes were red. Not from anger, from grief. Because the woman who raised him was forcing him to fracture. I wrapped my arms around him from behind. He leaned into me. "It's us," I whispered. "You and me. We'll get through this." He nodded. He believed me. But this was only the prelude. The real storm was still coming. It happened 3 days later. I was at work, my office downtown. I left early because I wasn't feeling great. The moment I stepped out of the elevator on our floor, I noticed the hallway looked different. Boxes. 4 of them. Suitcases. 2 of them. My blood turned to ice. I unlocked our door with shaking fury I never felt before. She was inside. She had turned on the lights, taken off her shoes, claimed our guest room. The door was wide open, luggage already on the floor. She turned and saw me. "Oh," she said brightly. "You're home early." I stared at her, frozen. "What are you doing?" I asked, my voice flat. Too flat. "I'm moving in." My mind went completely blank, then flooded all at once. "No," I said. "You're not." She waved a hand like I was being silly. "Oh, sweetheart, it's just temporary until Daniel and I work things out." "He didn't tell you?" "I thought it would be easier not to overwhelm you." "Easier?" I whispered, shaking.
"Yes."
"You're so emotional lately. It's understandable, with your job and all the stress you put yourself under." I took a breath. "You need to leave," I said. "But I have a key." And then she held it up. Not the key we had taken away. Not a key we'd given her. A duplicate. My chest tightened so hard I had to grip the counter to stay upright. "How did you?" "Oh, Claire," she laughed. "Anyone can get a key copied." I shook. I physically shook. She kept talking. Anyway, I'll be staying in the guest room. Daniel and I can't resolve tension while I'm living alone. And besides, a mother should be close to her son, especially now that you're working so much. He needs me. He needs his wife, I snapped. Her smile dropped for the first time, and in its place was something cold.
Sharp.
Like she'd finally stopped pretending. We'll see about that. My heart stopped. What did you just say? I asked quietly. She lifted her chin. If he feels pulled between us, then maybe it's time he chooses again. The same ultimatum, but this time spoken directly. No pretense. No sweetness. You need to leave, I repeated, louder now. She crossed her arms.
No.
The room felt small. Too small. My breathing turned shallow. Then, the front door opened. Daniel walked in, and the sound of his voice, gentle, unsuspecting, felt like an earthquake. Claire? Mom? Why are you both? He stopped mid-sentence when he saw the luggage, the boxes, the duplicate key dangling in his mother's hand. What is this? His mother turned to him, instantly putting on a soft smile. I'm staying with you, just until things settle. He swallowed. Mom, no. She cut him off, stepping toward him. I need you, sweetheart.
And you need me.
And she pointed at me, clearly doesn't want me around. She made a duplicate key, I said, voice cracking. She let herself into our home. Again. Daniel's face drained of color. Mom, please tell me that's not true. She hesitated, just long enough to confirm it. It's for emergencies, she said softly. There was no emergency, I snapped, tears burning behind my eyes. Daniel turned to her, visibly upset. Mom, you crossed a line. You can't just move in without asking. You can't copy our key. She touched his arm. I was afraid, she said. I was afraid she would take you away from me. I sucked in a breath like I'd been slapped. Daniel stepped back. That alone seemed to stun her. Mom, he said, voice trembling. This isn't healthy. She whispered. If she loved you, she wouldn't keep me away from you. Daniel closed his eyes. Slowly, painfully. Mom, you need to leave. Today. Her face collapsed. You're choosing her? I'm choosing my marriage. Tears welled in her eyes, not sadness.
Rage.
You'll regret this, she hissed. Both of you. She grabbed her suitcase, stormed out, and slammed the door behind her. Silence filled the apartment. I collapsed onto the couch, hands shaking. Daniel rushed over and held me. Claire, he whispered. I'm so sorry. I didn't know it would get this bad. I didn't know. I know, I whispered back. I know you're trying. He held me tighter. I believe he meant every word. Update. The night his mother stormed out, Daniel didn't leave my side. Not when I cried silently into my pillow. Not when I jolted awake at 3 a.m. thinking I heard the sound of the spare key turning in the lock. He stayed awake the entire night with me, playing with my hair, whispering that he loved me, that he was here, that he wouldn't let anything happen to us. I believed him. But trust isn't built in one night. It's built in the days that follow. The next morning, Daniel made breakfast. I had no appetite. I told him I'd be okay. He didn't budge. I'm not leaving you alone today, he said firmly. You've already used tons of PTO this year, I protested. Then I'll work from home. I'm not leaving you when you're still shaking every time someone walks past our apartment door. It wasn't an exaggeration. I jumped at the sound of the elevator that morning. I double-checked the locks like a nervous tick. He saw all of it, and guilt curled itself around his features every time my breath hitched. I should have done more earlier, he said quietly as he handed me tea. It's not your fault, I whispered. I didn't listen fast enough, he corrected softly. He sat on the couch beside me, gently slipped an arm around my shoulders, and said with a seriousness I rarely saw in him. No more leniency. No more excuses. No more minor things. We set boundaries, we enforce them, and I won't let her come near you until she respects us both. I swallowed the lump in my throat. The first boundary happened that afternoon. His phone buzzed. Her name lit up the screen.
He stared at it.
His jaw tightened, and without looking at me, he pressed decline. She tried again immediately. Decline. Then again. Decline. And then a text. Emile, I'm coming over to talk. We need to fix this. For the first time in months, he didn't look torn. He wrote, Daniel, do not come here.
Do not use the key.
We changed the locks again. We are choosing to have space. Respect it. There was a long pause. Then she wrote, Emile, I deserve to see my son. Daniel didn't even blink. Daniel, not right now. Maybe not for a long time. When he put the phone down, he let out a shaky breath. Are you okay? I asked. No, he said honestly. But I'm doing it anyway. I put my head on his shoulder, and he kissed my hair, soft, slow, meaningful. I'm not losing you, he whispered. And for the first time since the chaos began, I felt something like safety. For the next 3 weeks, Daniel refused all contact with his mother. He blocked her number temporarily, blocked her Facebook, muted family members who tried to guilt-trip him, and told me, if she wants to be in our lives again, she has to change. We're not sacrificing our marriage for her behavior. He meant it. At night, he held me closer, kissed my forehead more, whispered, I'm here, over and over until I fell asleep without flinching at every noise. I never felt more loved, or more protected. But Emile wasn't the type to accept boundaries. If she couldn't get to Daniel directly, she'd find another route. Daniel's phone rang almost daily. His aunt, his cousin, his godmother, even his second cousin who never called him except on holidays. The voicemails were variations of the same theme. Your mother is devastated. You're her only child. She didn't mean it. She's heartbroken. No mother should be shut out of her son's life. She's your family. At first, Daniel tried to explain. I'm not discussing this. She crossed serious boundaries. But when one relative said, your wife is probably putting ideas in your head, Daniel hung up. Then he blocked them too. He turned to me afterward, pulled me into his chest, and said, none of them get to blame you for her actions. Not one. I cried then.
Hard.
Into his shirt. He didn't let go. Around week 4 of no contact, I woke in the middle of the night to find Daniel sitting at the edge of the bed, elbows on his knees, face buried in his hands. Daniel? I whispered. He shook his head, but didn't speak. I sat beside him, wrapped my arms around his waist, and rested my cheek on his back. He finally exhaled. It's like grieving a parent, he said quietly. Except she's still alive. That line broke me in a way nothing else had. Because he wasn't wrong. His mother wasn't dead, but the version he used to love, the warm one, the fun one, the quirky one, that version was gone. She put you in danger, I whispered. She made a key and tried to move in. She pushed you to choose between her and me. You didn't lose her, she left herself behind. He let out a choked laugh. That sounds like something a therapist would say. Maybe you should see one, I said gently. He leaned back into me. Only if you go too. We held each other wordlessly for a long time. With relatives shut down, Emile escalated. She sent letters. Voicemails from random numbers. A bouquet, with a note that said, Daniel, please talk to me. I'm your mother. He threw it out. But the worst was when she sent me a message. From an unknown email address. Claire, you've turned him against me. But I'm willing to forgive you. Let's put this behind us. I can still be part of your family if you try harder. I didn't respond. I showed Daniel. His face hardened. She's blaming you for everything, he murmured. She's learned nothing. Maybe she's trying, I said quietly, even though I didn't believe it. Not like this, he said. Not through manipulation. He deleted the email for me, then blocked the address. And then he held me close and said, your safety comes first. Your peace comes first. Our marriage comes first. I shook with emotion. This was the husband I always knew he could be. This was the man I married. One Saturday morning, we sat down in the living room with mugs of coffee and the sunlight pouring through the blinds. Peaceful.
Warm.
Normal. Daniel set his mug down and looked at me like he had rehearsed his words. I need to tell you something. I set my mug down too. What is it? I'm not contacting her. Not for a long time. Not until she gets professional help. My breath caught. Daniel, are you sure? Yes. His voice didn't waver. She needs therapy. I squeezed his hand. She needs to know, he continued softly, that if she treats you badly, she loses access to me. Because you are my family, and I failed to show you that earlier. I shook my head fiercely. You didn't fail me. I didn't protect you fast enough, he corrected. And I will spend the rest of my life making sure I never make that mistake again. Then he kissed me, slow, deep, meaningful. I love you, he murmured. More than anyone. More than anything. I didn't realize I was crying until he wiped the tears away. It happened near the end of the second month. A letter came in the mail. Handwritten. Thick paper. Slanted cursive. Daniel saw the return address and froze. He looked at me. Do I open it? He asked quietly. I don't know, I whispered. We sat together on the couch. He opened it carefully, unfolding the pages. And then he read silently. He handed the letter to me. It said, Dear Daniel, I don't know how things got so out of hand. I didn't realize how hurtful my actions were. I miss you. I miss us. I made mistakes, but I hope you can understand I acted out of love. Claire is probably angry with me, and I forgive her for that. She doesn't know me the way you do. I know she feels threatened by our bond, but I want her to know she can be part of this family too. Let me come over.
Love. Mom.
I finished reading and closed my eyes. Daniel, I whispered. This isn't an apology. No, he said calmly. It's not. There's no accountability. Nope. She's still blaming me. Absolutely. And herself? Nothing. Zero. He took the letter back, folded it neatly, and slid it back into the envelope. Then he walked to the kitchen and dropped it into the trash. When he returned, he sat beside me, took my face in his hands, and said, I'm not letting her back into our lives until she takes real responsibility. Not a fake apology. Not blaming you. Not pretending everything is fine. Real accountability. I breathed out slowly. Thank you. He kissed me softly. We're not going back to chaos, he murmured. Not again. And I believed him. Because for the first time since this nightmare began, we weren't reacting. We were rebuilding.
Together.
Update. It's been about 3 weeks since the letter that wasn't a real apology, the one where Emile took zero responsibility but wanted instant forgiveness. Since then, things in our home have been strangely peaceful. Daniel and I decided that if we were going to fully move forward, we needed help untangling the emotional mess left behind, both the trauma I felt and the grief he carried. So we found a couples therapist, someone neutral, someone trained to handle boundary issues, family enmeshment, emotional manipulation, and the weight of divided loyalty. Our first session was heavy. Therapy has helped Daniel understand that he never owed his mother blind obedience, and I never owed her tolerance in exchange for peace. He's learning that love without boundaries is just control dressed up in sentiment. And for me, therapy helped me finally release the constant fear that the door would burst open again with suitcases behind it. We're healing. Then this morning a letter came. Same handwriting. My stomach flipped for a second, but Daniel was calmer than last time. He took it to the dining table and asked gently, Do you want to read it together? Yes, I said. He opened it. And this time it was different. Dear Daniel and Claire,
I've started therapy.
My therapist has helped me understand something I couldn't see before. My love has crossed into control, and my intentions became harmful. I didn't respect your privacy. I didn't respect your marriage. I didn't respect Claire, and she deserved better from me. No one should make a duplicate key to someone else's home. No one should force a son to choose between his wife and his mother. No one should try to claim space where they are not invited. I am sorry. Truly sorry. I am not asking to be forgiven now. I am not asking to visit. I am not asking to be involved in your lives in any way. I am only asking for the chance to change. I will not reach out again until I am invited. I love you both. And I am working, really working, to make sure that love isn't twisted by fear or entitlement. When the time is right, if the time ever becomes right, I hope you will let me show you I can be safe to have in your lives again.
Mom.
We read it twice. Then a third time. This letter wasn't perfect. Nothing ever is. But for the first time, she didn't blame me. She didn't minimize what she did. She named her actions. She named her faults. She named the boundaries. She said she would wait. On our timeline. On our terms. Daniel folded the letter gently and whispered, "I'll keep it. Not because I trust her yet, but because this is the first time she's shown real accountability." Then he turned to me. "Claire, how do you feel?" For a long moment, I didn't know. Then I answered honestly.
Relieved.
Cautious, but relieved. He nodded. "We're not rushing anything," he said. "We keep going to therapy. We keep healing. And if we ever choose to open the door for her again, it'll be when we feel ready, not when she wants it." I lean my head on his shoulder. For the first time since this entire ordeal began, the future didn't feel like a flame we constantly had to smother. And for now, that is enough.